It's fine. Then they put big stone base there. Oh, yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
Right, we want to thank Mike for being our judge this month after teaching us last month about being a judge.
Hope you
So-
pay attention to yourself.
Mike has many, many years of experience and hopefully we'll learn from our critique tonight.
This is kind of the, don't do as I told you last month. It's Mike Prokosch. Okay. Yep. Okay.
It's recording, so you can just stand there.
And near the computer. It sees me or,
Well, just so it can pick up your voice.
oh, okay. I am not getting any movement here. Ah,
You move there.
yeah, that moves.
Step
What?
over this cord, you know.
They were not advancing. It's not doing off that either. Wow. Oh, so good. Now we find out whether the doctor said I'm incompetent or incontinent. Okay, I gave this a 9. Beautiful image, nicely done, fills the frame well. The only reason I marked it down a little bit is the background is a little brighter than I would like to see it. If we could have isolated it, especially the white areas a little bit, brought the toning down on that, we're real good. Nicely cropped, the square format works very well with the head-on shot. You see one there? Okay. Foggy Herons, I gave an 8. I really like this shot. And I wanted to mark it higher, but I kept coming back to the same thing of this little twig down there. And really, we could have cropped up a little on the bottom and down a little on the top, a little bit, and made the herons a little bit bigger without really losing anything. Because you had a lot of space here, a lot of space there, and a lot of space on top. That would have made the animals stand up a little better. The little junction in the bottom, it wouldn't really change anything. Oop. This is a 7. Really a lot of things going on in this image. You got some nice colors, you got some nice sharp detail in the water droplets. I think it's a little bit too saturated. It got a little carried away there. And could we have changed our position when we took it initially, keeping most of it in there? We try to get away from these dark spots in the corners. They tend to be distracting. Light or dark in a corner will draw you over to that and drag you away. So other than that, it's very nicely done. Great capture. How many chances you get something like this? And it really is, a chance that you have to be there at that time to get it. However, the image itself, I think, is a little on the underexposed side, which makes them a little brighter. And then the really bright areas up behind them and the out of focus leaves and things just kind of overpower it. We could have sacrificed the 5th raccoon there. I hate to do it, But he's also a little out of focus and he's in the really bright areas and that would have eliminated some of that, maybe made it a little stronger. Or just try to isolate on one of the pairs and work with that. But it's a great opportunity and not something you get every day. This one is a 7 also. We're gonna hear 7 a lot tonight. You're gonna hear the word crop a lot. So I don't get used to it. But here we go. A very nice bird, nicely backlit. And part of the problem is it is backlit, therefore it's a little dull looking. But we've got some nice sharpness in him, we've got some sharpness in the bird. But then you got this background that is just overpowering, and you start looking in the background and go, do we need all of that? Could we have come down to this into the image a little, chop it? I don't think this thing shows up. No, it doesn't. Chop it just above the bird there a little bit and isolate more in that area. You will not hear any advice on computer work today. I hate computer work. Okay. This is the indigo bunt, or sorry, that was the indigo bunting. This is the Anhinga drawing and it gets an 8. Nice full frame, good lighting, a little bit possibly overexposed, just a hair. The whites in the wing here look like they've lost their detail, but it's not heavy enough to really bother you when you look at it initially. So that works out very well. The background is kind of a little distracting, but isn't that bad. But I think it is because the angle we're shooting, these lily pads, which would normally be down here, all of a sudden are up here. So could you have at that time, not knowing what situation, squatted down more, change that angle a little bit? And that would change the background then also for that. Not knowing what else is back there, of course, you'd squat down and then there's some big things behind it too. Okay. I gave this an 8 and I kind of worked back and forth on this one. I really like the picture. Great positioning, nice winding river there, nice sky up above. The difficulty I had is these trees back here, most of the yellow ones and also the one from that corner, looked like something happened during processing. They're kind of lost all their detail and are kind of mushy looking. And it tends to draw your eye over to it. Other than that, everything in the exposure and the colors and things are really well done. And that also is an 8. Nice sharply done subject. Good background. And how often do you get a nice background with 3 tones? You got the darker browns, you got the lighter yellows, and you got the blue sky in between, and all really separated very nicely. The bird is isolated in flight. Not a lot of story to it, and that's what kind of kept it an 8. A bird flying that's the entire story. Oh, that's what you get. Now you'll see some later. I'll say, "Oh, it's got a great story," but he won't say why. I really wanted to mark this high. And I gave this a 7 because I want to see it reprocessed. The image is here to here. The ice and water running down him is the story. The rest of it is all just interfering. So yeah, you chop it about at the paw, you chop it here, chop it there, credit it, tone down the background a little bit to bring him out more. And I think you got a real winner. That was a ooh, and I did the same thing when I saw it first. I gave it a 7, and I know a lot of people like this, but I just can't focus on the bird. All I see is the movement, and I don't think that's enough to hold me interest-wise for very long. The eyes, because of the position of the head, and some of that depth, it's a little grainy, which I don't mind too much. And also the motion in the foot is kind of distracting, so you're bouncing around looking at different things. Really a good attempt. I also like it for the reason that it's got to be at a reasonable shutter speed to get that much motion. And I'm a slow shutter speed person, so I kind of like this. Okay. And you're tired of saying this is a 7. I think you have a real chance here. It's a nice specimen. It's in a nice position. And you got this stupid tree running right through the middle of it. Yeah. Could we have, two things, could we have moved, which you don't know at the time, or could I have cropped it here and gone more into a semi-portrait mold? Do about 2/3 of the body, go just past the head on the other side and work on it that way. Make the image a little stronger, doesn't have then these distracting heavy lines. You got a vertical line there, you got a vertical line over here, and they tend to draw you away from the image. I fought this one. I don't know what to do with it. I like the pattern of the colors, but then these little streaky drops in it, I find distracting. So am I looking through something at it? Is it a reflection? I assume the colors are a reflection, but what is it behind or what's around it or whatever that's causing these problems? And I think it's a little heavy in the saturation for the reflection. So I gave that a 7 also. Okay. I was all ready to disqualify this until I saw the X on it, but you know, but the no parking sign kind of. Beautiful day. Yeah, nice foreground as far as a lot of stuff going on. You got nice sky. It doesn't quite seem sharp when you get on a reasonable screen. If you look at like the cactus in the foreground and some of those areas, and also the tree alongside it, they're just not that pristine sharpness you'd expect. I don't know if there's a little wind going on or something else, or just lack of depth of field. But I find it very distracting. Plus, there's really not a strong point in the image where I can start and work around. It just kind of flutters all over the place. I think we actually got to an 8. Something other than a 7. Nice image. The sky is muted enough so it isn't a bright white and isn't killing you there. The bird itself is very sharp. The wings are frozen pretty well. I myself prefer a little bit of motion in the wings, but I think on these things they're moving so fast that the wings you almost have to freeze them. And I was trying. Great butt it's working on, and then nothing excessive in the rest of the image to really become bothersome. So it works very well. And we're back to the 7s. This screen is much brighter than what it was on my calibrated screen. And this water looks really muddy in it. Plus, I assume it's the water effect, but it almost looks like somebody applied a painterly type application to it. And I find that, even though it may be real, it's hard to look at or a nature shot. The 3 birds themselves, they're there, they're nice, but there's nothing special in it. So I gave that, as I say, a 7. I really like the bird, and I really feel sorry because I gave him a 7. But you know, it is what it is. I like the, you know, the expression, the eye always carries it very well, but it's so bright behind it. If we could have worked on toning that down a little bit, what we're doing is losing the edges of the bird and all this fine detail. But then you get down in here and it looks like the feathers are kind of blown out, whether it's exposure or whether it's processing, but it just doesn't feel right. Great job on the branch. This is a 9, and really nothing to change on it much. It's very sharp. And the bird is well placed, the wings are in nice position. Other than a little lacking in story. Bird flying is not a strong nature story, but rest of it's done perfectly well. This is one I really wasn't sure what I was gonna do initially. The bird's head is done very well. The motion in the wing in the background gives it something kind of back there to fill in. But it's so close. And, is that a good representation of what was going on, or did you chop it down a bunch? And I just feel like I've kind of cheated. I want to see a little bit more here, especially the rest of the ground along that edge. To see that, but it does technically well done, and it's very different from what we normally see. I gave it the benefit of the doubt on that. So that was an 8.
What was the score?
8. Beautiful sunrise, and I was hoping the maker would be here, but I don't think he is. I can pretty well guess looking at it who did it. But this is what I gave the benefit of the doubt. It's a beautiful shot, it's nicely composed, you got this beautiful riser. The only question I have is that a tree or is that a structure? And I can't tell you which. So as I said, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, gave it a 9. It's so small, but it is there.
It is what it is.
And I was gonna talk to him whether he wanted to change it to G or an X, but it is what it is. Okay. Morning dewdrops is kind of different. You kind of have to look for the drops, which fights the title. I don't really care about the titles normally. I don't do that. This is beautifully done. I really think that's strong. The red, I'm not sure if that helps or hurts. And I'm kind of opposed to it a little bit, but not too badly. And this being way over here and that being way over there, your eye fights between the two of them. So could I have either cropped this out, work on that portrait, or when I was shooting it, most people don't think of it, but these things are movable. You can pull them back out of the way, take your image and put it back down. And I think it's really a little bit of a distraction. So that was a 7. Okay. Aspen Glory. I like the panoramic presentation. I think it's a nice sunrise, whichever it happens to be. And it looks, pretty good. It's just some minor things. I gave it a 7. They say, I really want to see the tip up there. And just a little bit make a big difference. And I'm not sure if this bright one over here is helping or hurting. I really kind of like it cropped out there better. It's a little bright for the rest of the image, and it draws you back and forth between that and the yellows. This got a 9, I believe. Yeah. Oops, sorry, an 8. Good close. The questions I had, and I really think it's a nice postcard image. Beautiful snowy background and deers in a good position. The body's done pretty well. But we need a bigger buck. And I have a strong feeling who this is, and I've heard him make, oh, that's gotta be a bigger one. No, it has to be a bigger one. And I took off a point for that. But it is a well done image. Which I was judging these things for 30 years. You look up and say, oh, that's so and so. Okay. And the flicker is also an 8. It looks a little more washed on this screen than it does on mine. It's got a little better texture on the calibrated screen. I like that the head is back and looking out of the image that way. I also like that the colors of the flicker and the colors of the trees go together so well. It shows the natural camouflage. And I think that was the story in this one, was the camouflage. Very well done. Okay. I kind of lost where I am here. Oh, okay. Only 3/8 foot in a row. Another 8. Nicely done. Everything's pretty well. Questions I had on, we wanted to keep, apparently the photographer wanted to keep it in that format. Do we need quite this much water? Or could we have brought it up a little higher here? Got where a little of that excess water in the bottom. I think the top is done well, even though there's a lot of sky up there. But it's got some decent colors and things, and at the mountains and the other end of the Oxbow Bend there are pretty good. But I think I would have just cropped up that bottom a little bit. And our 4th one in a row. Nice shot of the eagle. Good specimen. Backgrounds handled really well. The square format would work either way. You could have done a rectangular or square, or even a vertical would have worked. I assume they wanted to keep the balance with those few little weeds over there. The head might be a little bit on the hot side, but I think that's more this screen than it is the actual image. And that's a 10. Beautiful shot, nicely done. Everything's there. The 2 chicks kind of fill in that area to fill in the story. So everything goes really well in that. Nothing I would change on it. This is an 8. Again, more for the story than for the actual image quality. The emerging cicada is done well. Magic tree, again, I think we're just a hair overexposed. And the tree bark should be a little bit darker than that and not quite that reflective. And again, it's being hurt more by on this screen than it was on my screen, but it was a little bit on hot. I would have marked it a little higher if the exposure had been down just a little bit. Nothing much to change in that one though. And that's my Gold Eagle nest building. Yep, that's a 7. And unless you sit and look at it a lot, you won't understand something, but it's nicely framed, fills the frame. Bird is in good shape, but if you get in the undersides of the wings and in the body here, something's happened during processing. It's really weird textures. And it's not like a feather texture, it's something really different. And because of that, and also up through the wing, you tend to lose the context of the bird in some ways. Story-wise, it's good. We need to go back, try to reprocess that one. And that should be an 8. Well, after a while, you just get to the point all these things look the same. But on the list here, not pictures. My either. Beautiful bird. Nicely framed. Fills the frame. It looks a little small in the picture, but that's because that's wildly long tail. And you can't chop the tail. The only thing I found really distracting was this guy. But it isn't that bothersome, it's just something different. So it works out really well, background's handled well. And as I said, I gave that an 8. Okay. This is another one I kind of fought over a little bit. And The bird fills the frame nicely. It's a nice flying bird, but again, it's a flying bird, which we're seeing a lot of flying birds, so. 15 years ago, this would have been a 10. Now I believe I gave it a 7. I'm just saying times change. Yep, it's a 7. And why? Well, it's a little hot, especially back through here, back through there. And these things that are bothersome. And it isn't quite as sharp as you think it should be. When you look at it up close, it's just not that pristine sharpness you would expect. So all those little things added up. Bring it down to a 7. You know, the monkey is so pretty, the little baby. And that's going to be an 8. And I really like the mother, I assume mother, baby, that all works. It's a little grainy, a little hot, and not bad. It's kind of close. But I think we could have gone and toned this down, and that really is distracting. That's what kept it down at an 8. I'm not quite sure why it looks so much grainier on this than it did on mine, but it looks much grainier on this screen. So whatever the difference is in the screens and the presentations. It was mine also. I would probably gone in and try to darken up that leaf at the top. Pretty simple system, but and some of these I say I gave them 7s because I think they could be reprocessed and put in and do better. This one I really didn't know what to do with in a nature category. Now, it's definitely a nature shot if you look at it as one of the sciences, but it's different. It's interesting, but it's also distracting. Is the brightness and the diffraction lines coming off, and the rays and the color variation and stuff just don't seem to all fall together. And I gave that a 7. Now and then you get things, you look at them and say, well, I know what it is, I know what it's doing, but how did it get there? Okay. This is also a 7. And yeah. So, I think here we have a good possibilities. A nice bird is doing something and got a story of eating and hunting and all that stuff. But it's a pretty small part of the frame. We got a lot of space over here. It's not adding anything to us. And the bird itself is a little soft, especially in the head, and then the dragonfly, which is where you want to look. So the feathers down through here are pretty good. But when you get up here, it starts getting soft. So just kind of fighting that.
Would you focus a little bit on the shadow itself? Because that's kind of nice.
Yeah, but you still got the bird fighting. And this is a 7 also, I believe. It's pretty much a straight portrait. Nothing special. It fits the frame well. It's got a nice positioning to it. But the illuminated mallard, which is already pretty bright, then you get these really bright colors around it. You're fighting to look at the mallard here and look at all the other things. And when you do get it closer, the head is not sharp, and the feathers along the side here aren't as sharp as you would expect. Those are a little sharpish difference there. But it's a striking, man, when it first comes up on the screen. I do these in a dark room and it really bounces off the screen, let me tell you. And spiderweb is also a 7. This is one that appealed to me, and I kind of fought back and forth on it. I do like the subject. There's not a lot of changes in it, but the background's handled good. You can't really go in and try to move him out of the way, because these things are so fragile. If you breathe around them, they'll fall apart. And I'm not really sure where our focus is. It's definitely not on the spider web, it's somewhere between there and wherever this layer is. And so because of that, the little beads don't have the sharpness, little droplets, and they get kind of fuzzy looking. Nice browse. And I've only spent about 35 years shooting grouse. And to get a nice one is hard. This one's being hurt a little bit by this screen. It's not quite as over exposed as it looks on this. But, you know, it's done perfectly well. It's doing its mating dance, the tail's up, you got the knob up, so you know it's a nice male doing all his thing there. Female around somewhere totally ignoring him. He's off having a seed or whatever seed you're gonna do that morning. But it's a good capture and nicely handled background. And you got it in a nice low angle where it looks good. A lot of trouble with the grouse shots are depending where the person has put the blind at, because you don't want to be using somebody else's blind, you're not using your own. They can get them up a little high and then they get the weird shot down. Well, that was an 8. And this is an 8. I like the paw. The animal's good, it's sharp, it's got the little whiskers and things showing. The overall, it's a very good image. What I would do is I might try to tone this down, because this is really the brightest area of the picture, and with it being right there, it kind of pulls you down to that brightness right underneath the animal, and it gets you away from that. But they could either you know, tone that down or bring in the entire exposure down here, because the animal is bright enough that it would, I think, could take another third of the stop down without really hurting it too much. Okay, this is a 7. And one of those, I think we missed an opportunity. We had all these nice birds flying through, and the moon's over there. We need these birds back there. And especially not being cut in half by the moon. When you look at it, the moon's got a little bit of funny edges and stuff to it, and the processing, these are done pretty well down through here. But I think it's just a slightly missed opportunity. Our timing was off a little bit. So, that was a 7. The roseate spoonbill is an 8. The bird is done beautiful. The nice colors, well, fills the frame, has more room above it, which is really what you don't want to leave for birds. And that's all does real. If anything, I would try to tone down the background a little bit. It's not pure white, but it's white enough that competes with the bird, especially when the bird's got a lot of light colors on it. But well done portrait. Okay, I believe our pheasant is a 7. And a couple little things here, I think, you know, got kind of picky going through here. The bird itself is nicely placed. Be not cooperative and turn another 15 degrees aside, I'd be much happier. But they don't always do that for you. And it's a little low on exposure. If you look at the whites up there and you look at the wings, also front edge, it should be a little darker than that. The whites in the neck are blown out a little bit. But you know, the chances you have to catch it, you take it and hope get what you can. Very nicely done image. Just needs a little fine tuning. Okay. I really like this. And, I hate to say I only gave it an 8. But the image and the reflections in the main balls over here and all the little balls over there are really nice. Then you get into the fuzzies. And did we need these? Could we have come up here and done it differently? Because your eye goes to that side of the image and kind of ignores this side. Anyway, because of the softness. I like the background really handled nice, the reflections in the, or sorry, transmittance in the water droplets are really nice. And overall, 90% of the way there, was that way. This also is an 8. This one's really getting hurt by this project, this image on the screen here. I had detail in most of that. On here, I don't at all. The detail is kind of disappearing. I'd like the placement of the image. The fly is kind of said, but having the buds surrounding it, I think really adds something to them. They're nicely placed and really help it, I think. And everything just kind of falls together. It's a far enough off center with the main subject, so you're not shooting that bullseye. I got an 8. Okay. Yeah, it looks like a fall day at Crex. I've seen many as I'm sitting in the building watching people going out and having fun. But it's a nice image. It got a 7. I'm sorry to say. I think there's a lot of things going on. There's some nice lines through here. There's some nice lines in the middle. But I find this tree a little too far in. Maybe if I brought a little bit here, it might help a little. And just to my eye, it didn't flow. I kind of get to that and I get hung up on that. The other thing, it might work, and I haven't tried it, but it's just to flip it and use that as a stop to keep you from going out. And that might make a little bit stronger image. I do apologize to a lot of people. I spent 35 years reading magnetic resonance and X-ray images, and everything reads from right to left instead of left to right. So I may not look at it the same way other people do. Oh, this one really gets hurt on the screen. This is a beautiful image. It really is. The colors in it are great. These colors are more muted down all the way through, and the yellows are much brighter. There's more texture to it. And the ripples just are very mild and doesn't really overpower the colors behind. And it kind of all works together. And I gave that a 9. I never understood on these things why you can put up 2 images that look almost the same. One will project well and the next one won't. You look at them on the other screen and they're fine. And I've seen that for years. And I gave this image a 7. I kind of fought over this one. I'm not really sure how to handle it. It's a nice image of what it is, but is it that interesting of a subject? Is I think some of the fight I had with it. You got this big ring of white and then the little colors in the middle. I find that colors interesting. I find all the white flowers around the outside to be distracting and pulling me away. Plus, a lot of them don't have much texture anyways. And you put a big white flower that has no texture in there, and it just looks flat. So I gave that a 7, and I apologize to the maker for not doing a better job on judging that one. And I believe that's it.
Read the names.
These are the 8s. Rosalind Long, rufous-tailed hummingbird. Alan Schultz, white-tailed buck in snow. Joe Fierst, long-tailed
Jaeger.
Jaeger flyby. Carl Figenshoe, East Branch Baptism River. Michael Sweet, Foggy Herons. Richard Getz. I don't know how to say that. Kofi is a Hummingbird's Delight. Barry Mullen, Anhinga Drying. Don Specht, Northern Flicker, Ready to Fly. Paul Cammon, Oxbow Bend Sunrise. Michael Sweet, Bald Eagle. Jeanette Mayo, Emerging Cicada. Carl Figenshoe, Lessons Mott. Back. Jonathan Metzger, Vervet Monkey Mom and Baby. Rosalind Long, Dancing Sharp-tailed Grouse. John Lemire, Marmot Territory. D. Honeysett Dritz, Roseate Spoonbill in Flight. John Penoyer, Spiderweb Reflections. Will Rogers, Breakfast Buffet. The Nines. Paul Cammon, Hunting Great Gray Owl. D. Honeysett Dritz, Brown Pelican in Flight. John Penoyer, Prairie Sunrise. Alan Schultz, Fall Color Reflections in Ripples. And the tens, Patricia Jones, Room for Two. Thank you.